So the sixth One Piece movie has got my heart torn. There was so much I disliked about it, but then so much I loved about it that I'm eager to get all my thoughts out today. One Piece Baron Omatsuri and the Secret Island premiered on March 5th, 2005. The same week that in the manga, Tom hits Cutty Flam, and some weird memory loss filler nonsense was going on in the anime. I didn't know what to expect with this movie, and the title really doesn't give you anything to go off of, because a secret island could mean just about anything in the One Piece world. I have to say that while watching this movie, I did a full 180 from hating it to absolutely loving it, and I think it's because it manages to encapsulate some of the most disliked and most beloved elements from the canon story into a tight 90-minute runtime. So, without further ado, let's get into it. First impressions are always tough to shake, and I have to say, this movie makes a dog shit first impression. The animation for this film is simply terrible. It's definitely the worst animation of all the previous movies, except maybe the first one. Maybe. At first, I just thought this movie's budget was significantly slashed, but this appears to be a deliberate stylistic choice, which baffles my mind because it looks truly awful. The characters look very sketchy and jagged. This style just doesn't capture their personalities at all, and feels like the animators were going through a punk phase without the talent to pull off anything interesting. Now, take this animation style and mix it in with the occasional CGI creature or background, and I assure you, it's horrendous. There is one scene toward the end that I think looks pretty damn good, but that's the only one, and I'll discuss it when we get there. That was pretty negative, so let me get into the plot. The movie starts with the crew finding a message in a bottle inviting pirates amongst pirates to a secret island spa. They head there and meet Baron Omatsuri, who challenges the crew to ordeals of hell. Yep, this is just Long Ring Long Land, a horribly animated movie premised on one of the most contentious arcs in the series. Yeah, things were off to a rough start. I should say that the crew for this movie is the same as the prior two: Luffy, Zoro, Usopp, Sanji, Nami, Chopper, and Robin. If I had to try and fit this into the canon, which I know I shouldn't, I would say this takes place right before Long Ring Long Land, which means the crew's journey during this time period would be absolutely miserable. So, just like with LRLL, Omatsuri gets the crew to compete against his crew, who use underhanded tactics to try and win. However, unlike with Long Ring Long Land, the Straw Hats do win all of the competitions, and there is no crew swapping rule. Honestly, the reason to compete in the ordeals of hell feels really forced, as there isn't even a prize or consequence. Luffy just insists on doing it, and so everyone keeps begrudgingly doing it. The first round is to catch a goldfish using a paper net. Omatsuri's contender cheats, and that's when we see this horrifically large CGI goldfish. The crew wins by turning the tables, and then they attempt to leave the game, and there's the scene from Nami's POV. With these movies, I have praised when they use the medium of film in unique ways, since they aren't tied into direct manga adaptations, and I thought this POV scene was directionally interesting, but as I already mentioned, the CGI forest mixed with these character models looked terrible. But points for trying something new. The second round begins, and this is where the plot gets more interesting. This round is a competition to capture enemy teams on boats as they race through the canals of a city that is clearly a ripoff of Water 7. While this is going on, Luffy is confronted by the captain of the Hitler Pirates. Oh, sorry. The Toothbrush Mustache Pirates, and Chopper meets a daddy captain of a small family pirate group. Both give warnings about Omatsuri, while Robin does her own investigating. Long story short, the ordeals are designed to sow discontent and resentment among pirate groups, and then the Baron takes those pirates and dumps them into this flower called the Lily Carnation. He does this because decades ago, his own crew was killed, and the Lily Carnation uses the life force of others to create plant versions of his crew with their same memories that also don't age. Once the Long Ring Long Land ripoff ended and the movie shifted focus to this concept, things really stepped up a notch, and the movie became vastly more interesting to me. I love how this movie is really all about the bond between pirate crews, which we see from the perspective of 4 different captains. Omatsuri serves to test that bond, but also represents the pure heartbreak of a captain who tragically lost his own crew and is willing to do vile things just for the illusion of having them back. The final act of the movie comes when Luffy teams up with Hitler and the pirate family in order to challenge Omatsuri on the mountaintop where the Lily Carnation lies. This is the scene that I felt was animated excellently. First of all, the baseline animation is much more fluid and detailed, but also the lighting and coloring are all fantastic, and the way shots are framed creates this feeling of an epic, scrappy, all-or-nothing battle to the death. The Straw Hats are absorbed by the Lily Carnation as Luffy is pinned down with arrows by Omatsuri. This whole scene was extremely reminiscent of the end of the Sabaody Archipelago arc, years and years before that would ever happen. As the crew fades away one by one, Luffy shouts to them in agony, believing each one is being killed right before his eyes as he is powerless to stop it. It's a really emotionally charged scene. With the help of his new allies, Luffy is told that he still has a chance to save his friends, and begins to turn the tables on Omatsuri. Things get a little confusing with both Omatsuri and the Lily Carnation's powers, but it's fine because it makes for an awesome spectacle. The giant Lily Carnation turns out to be a massive collection of Omatsuri's arrows, whereas the flower on his shoulder transforms into this horrifying tentacle creature which now houses the Straw Hats. The arrows rain down on Luffy, and look at this shot of them all on his back. Jesus Christ, this was so epic. Daddy Pirate then takes out the Lily Carnation and frees the crew. As Omatsuri freaks out, we get this glorious finishing punch from Luffy that is animated in the exact same style as his punch on the Celestial Dragon in Sabaody. The day is saved, the crew is fine, and the movie ends with Luffy smiling as they all surround him.
Do you see what I mean? Do you get the roller coaster ride I went on? This movie started out, honestly, terrible, and then ended excellently. I'm still surprised, because at first this movie was just Long Ring, Long Land all over again, the movie, and then it ended as the spiritual predecessor to the Sabaody Archipelago arc, while the manga hadn't even gotten to Enies Lobby yet. I had to double check the release date for this movie, because I was convinced someone had to have some idea about the Sabaody Archipelago, but no. I think the stars must have just aligned, and Toei decided to hold on to that punch animation for years, and then bust it out for an arc with the same theme as this movie? It's all just so strange to me still.
I think this movie had the strongest thematic through line out of any of the previous ones so far that actually was meaningful and impactful to me as a fan of this franchise, and even the side characters all had full satisfying arcs. I think Baron Omatsuri is the best movie villain yet, which is odd since he started off as a Foxy ripoff, but then evolved into so much more. He is a complicated character who is doing awful things, but for understandable reasons, while serving as a great, unexpected foil for Luffy. There are things about this movie that don't quite add up, like why the ordeals of hell are even necessary, or how there is a spa and city on this abandoned island inhabited just by Omatsuri and his plant people, but if you squint, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, on the scale of out-of-canon mid-2000s anime movies, I'd give Baron Omatsuri and the Secret Island a solid 9 out of 10. And that's about that. What did you think about this movie? Am I being too harsh on the art style? And what about that story? Please let me know all your thoughts, and remember to tune in next Monday when I review the next One Piece movie, The Giant Mechanical Soldier of Kakuri Castle. Oh god. Thanks for watching, and until then, I'll shut up.